Hello everyone, welcome to China Talk. The Republic of Slovenia, located in southern Central Europe, is a developed country. In April 1992, China and Slovenia established diplomatic relations with each other. And since then, our two countries have achieved fruitful results in cooperation in various fields. The relationship between China and Slovenia has entered a stable and mature stage. So looking forward, what are the potentials of economic and trade cooperation between China and Slovenia? And what kind of role Slovenia will play to boost China-EU relations? In order to answer these questions, we are very pleased to invite the Ambassador of Slovenia to China, Her Excellency, Ms. Alenka Suhodolnik, to our program. Good morning, Ambassador. It is a great pleasure to be here at your embassy and have this conversation with you.
Good morning to you and welcome to the Embassy of Slovenia.
I think most Chinese people have heard about Slovenia, but just a few of them have been there themselves. So as Slovenia ambassador to China, would you please introduce your country to us, what we should know about Slovenia?
Maybe I should start with my country being a small country, but very, very diverse. The landscape is diverse, the climates are diverse. So you can go in the morning to ski in the Alps, at the north of the country, and then if you are lucky, swim in the sea in the late afternoon. So very diverse. At the same time, Slovenia is known to be one of the most economically complex countries in the world, 11th by the last measurement, which is kind of an achievement for a small nation. But at the same time, we are one of the most sustainable countries in the world. So for instance, more than 60% of our country is covered by forest. So we are the second most forested countries in Europe. So on one side, economically complex, but also a country with a great landscape and great nature. And what usually the Chinese know about my country, that is also the only country in the world that has love in its name.
Yes, that's what I want to mention. The notice is very interesting to have the love inside the name of Slovenia.
Yeah, correctly so. But it is also a country that is known to be one of the safest. Stability is important, and the safety is always important.
So I hope that in the future we have the chance to visit Slovenia with the love inside the name of the country.
That I would strongly recommend.
And before you become the ambassador of Slovenia to China, have you ever been to China before? Can you share with us your stories with China?
Yeah, actually, I arrived to Beijing as an ambassador in the late September of 2019. In the year before that, I think I traveled to China 4 times. But I always traveled on business trips, so you know how it goes with business trips. You come in, you go out, you have a lot of meetings in between. So when I arrived there, then I really started to get to know China properly. And that was a hugely enjoyable experience.
So from your perspective, what is China like?
China is a great, complex country. Due to its size, it is an important country in the international arena. And that's what I would say.
Okay, thank you for the compliment. And after working and living here for more than 4 years, can you summarize your work here? What achievements have you done in your work?
Yeah, I arrived here in the fall of 2019, so actually about 3 months before COVID started. So that was a very, very particular period. For a long time, we were not able to do our work as we used to do it, so having a lot of delegations coming in, coming out, and so on. We were, maybe paradoxically, our work was even more important because we were one of the rare interlocutors with the Chinese side during that period. But what I would say as an achievement is the following. I'm a great believer in people-to-people contact, And I think that with vast array of programs in the field of academia, in the field of culture, we succeeded to bring the people of the two countries closer. That I hope that we have achieved. On the other side, we have continued to have high-level contacts during that period. And I'm happy to say that in April, the visit of Deputy Prime Minister and the Minister of Foreign and European Affairs concluded in Beijing and Shanghai. She was accompanied with a big business delegation, and that is also one of the successes.
And are there any impressive moments during your life and work in the past over 4 years?
Oh, I would say that there were a lot of impressive moments during my time in China. But I can tell you what I really enjoy doing. What I really enjoy doing is traveling around this vast country and getting to know people from all walks of life. I think really traveling around gives you a more profound perspective on the country. You know how it is. To understand China, one needs to know China in all its dimensions.
So you have mentioned that you like to travel around. Have you traveled to all the provinces of China?
Not yet. Not yet. But I think that there are still 5 on my list, 4 or 5. I don't know whether I'm going to succeed to do that till the end of August when I'm finishing my term as an ambassador to China. Yeah, I'm traveling with a great pleasure.
And which city do you like the most?
Oh, that nobody can say which city likes the most. You know, each cities have kind of different appeal. Beijing is obviously the center, the capital of the country. Chengdu, as I understand, is always the happiest city in China, so it has this attraction. By the way, Chengdu and Ljubljana, the capital of Slovenia, they've been the sister cities for over 40 years now. So I did travel several times to Chengdu. And of course, you know, different cities have different attractions, but also the rural areas. So I cannot say which city or which province I like the most.
Okay, then we will come to the bilateral relations. We know that in April 1992, China and Slovenia established diplomatic relations. And since then, our two countries have achieved substantial results in cooperation in various fields, and especially in economic and trade sector. And economic trade cooperation has been highlighted during the official visit paid by the Deputy Prime Minister, Foreign Minister of Slovenia, Ms. Tanja Fajon. So what are the potentials of economic trade cooperation between our two countries in the future from your perspective?
I think that there are great synergies between the two economies, although the economy of Slovenia is, of course, on a small side. But it might be interesting for you to know that Slovenia has a high number of so-called hidden champions. Hidden champions, the companies that are called hidden champions, are the companies that are small or medium size, but they are the leaders in their particular field. So what I think what we need to do is we need to address the trade imbalance. Trade imbalance is getting bigger and bigger, and that is what for sure we need to address to have a productive and sustainable economic relation also in the future. That was also one of the emphases during the visit of our Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs. You might know that she came here with a delegation of over 70 from 54 companies and so on. And the companies that accompanied our Deputy Prime Minister were from, let's say, consisted of different groups. For instance, there were 3 of the 5 biggest Slovenian exporters. Then it was the group of the companies that is already present here. Very strong was also emphasis on tourism. Tourism, and there was a small group of the companies that are still exploring China. The next opportunity is going to be during the CIIE, China Import Expo, where Slovenia is going to be present in November in Shanghai.
And yes, you have just mentioned trade imbalance. So I think that free trade, the cooperation of economic and trade, will help to maybe to balance the trade in a better way.
Precisely.
So yes, let's come to the people-to-people exchanges. We know that people-to-people exchanges between China and Slovenia has injected vitality into the bilateral relations between our two countries. And you have just mentioned that during your tenure, there are some work have been done in this sector. Actually, the cooperation or the exchanges between our two peoples can be dated back to over 300 years ago. So in recent years, what have we done in this sector, I mean people-to-people exchanges, and what are the plans for our future cooperation in this sector?
I would mention first that Slovenia and China, we have bilateral exchange of scholarships. That is something that is, I think, it's of tremendous importance. So, but that is in place for several years now. We have also regular dialogues in the field of science and technology. For instance, the last bilateral committee just had a session in Beijing, I think three weeks ago now. At those sessions, the joint projects are discussed, the joint projects that are going to be carried out by our researchers, by our members of academia. That is one important and vital part of the exchanges. As I already mentioned, what I'm a great believer as well is the exchange in the field of art and culture. I think that art and culture somehow tells more about us, tells more about the Chinese, how we understand each other, tells more about the Slovenians. And here, this work I find extremely important. Without knowing each other properly, it's difficult to have a productive dialogue, I would say. Miscommunications can happen very easily. So that is one of the emphases of the work of the Slovenian embassy in Beijing.
Yes, you're right. And we may talk about the China-Europe relations. We know that Europe is always the priority on China's diplomatic agenda, and especially in the current turbulent international situation, China and EU relations have both global influence and strategic importance. Slovenia, a member state of European Union, has always been advocating the active relations between China and the EU. So in the future, what kind of role Slovenia will play to boost the China-EU relations?
Slovenia for sure is going to continue to advocate for active engagement with China. As we have seen in the last year and a half, there was a flurry of activities on the side of the EU institutions engaging with the Chinese counterparts on the sides of the member states. And that is important. It is important to have regular dialogues. Unless you have regular dialogue, you cannot neither find the synergies between the EU and China, and also you cannot prevent a possible misunderstandings. So Slovenia is for sure going to advocate active engagement with China also in the future.
So we know that from January the 1st, 2024, Slovenia has become a non-permanent state of the UN Security Council. So how will Slovenia contribute to improving the global governance and dealing with global challenges?
Slovenia is leading an open, proactive and constructive engagement inside the Security Council. For us, there are four priorities that we are dealing with. One is the prevention of conflict, the second, protection of civilians in armed conflicts, the third being women, peace and security, and the fourth, climate, peace and security. It might be interesting for your viewers to know that in September, we are going to have the presidency of the Security Council. And in September, there is also a General Assembly, as every year, at the UN headquarters in New York, but there will be also a Summit of the Future. summit. And Slovenia's ambition is that during the month of September, we would have a high-level Security Council discussion that would thematize the future of the UN through the lens of peace and security. You are right, we are living in turbulent times, and we need to do utmost, each country needs to do the utmost to engage with all the others to try to find better solutions for the world to come.
Yes, and I have noted the latest news that Slovenia has recognized a Palestinian state, and that is also the effort made by Slovenia to promote peace and also to resolve the regional conflicts.
Yeah, truly so. Slovenia has recognized Palestine, and you know how it goes with the debates, you know, whether that is a productive move, does it going to contribute to the solution of Middle East conflict. But I also think, on my personal note, one needs to ask him or herself, does the not recognition contribute? It doesn't seem so. So that was the right move to do.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you, Ms. Ambassador, for introducing the beautiful country Slovenia to all of us, and also thank you for the work you and your team have done to make our two countries and our two peoples closer. Thank you.
Thank you.